Good morning. Morning. You notice there wasn't much enthusiasm in that, and that is quite deliberate. I did not come to whip you into a mood. I have been up virtually all night with this subject, and I could not put on a smile and a cheerleader's voice if I tried. We are too far along in our history to pretend. We are, as a people, tired. Tired of trying to be powerful. Tired of waking to another day of pushing bodies, pushing plans, pushing minds like stubborn machinery that won't quite start. You know that morning without enthusiasm. The alarm rings, and even before your feet touch the floor, you feel behind. Listen closely. That exhaustion is not a personal defect. It is evidence. It is the proof that pushing is not power. Now, there is no subject more important in this generation than this: the difference between willpower and spiritual power. I mean exactly that. No politics, no economics, no therapy will correct what this confusion has cost us if we do not address it at the root. Because as long as you believe power is the sum of your exertions, you will be living on a treadmill, and the very thing you call strength will be the instrument of your weariness. It is well rehearsed, it is well praised, it is not well understood. So let us say it plainly. Power isn't what you push. Power is what remains when you stop pushing. And you will say, well, if I stop pushing, nothing will happen. Precisely there is the superstition. Precisely there is the fear that has held you. You have mistaken motion for might, strain for strength, urgency for authority. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility. You will only argue. But when, for a moment, you do nothing, absolutely nothing, to manufacture force, something is going to become evident that has been present all along. We have built a culture of effort-based living, and all the while the evidence has shouted at us. The more you strain, the more you confirm yourself as an effect needing to become a cause. You become a beggar with a barbell. You become the tail trying to wag the dog. And then, defeated, you drink more coffee. You buy another productivity system. You push a little harder. But an effect cannot produce a cause. An echo cannot sing the note. The demand cannot make the supply. That is why you feel the sink in the gut, the grayness at dawn. It is your very consciousness telling you this pathway cannot lead to life. Now, I am not going to give you a set of arguments to memorize. We are not going to content ourselves with verbal truths. Before you leave this room, you will be guided into a few minutes of stillness. Not a concept of stillness, not an idea about God, but the felt cessation of pushing. Make some provision to study it afterward. One sentence you will hear today could profitably occupy your mirror and your purse for a year. But for now, know this much. Relief is not on the far side of greater effort. Relief is in the instant you stop impersonating power. Let that be our beginning this morning. Without enthusiasm, without pretense, just the honest recognition that what collapses under effort was never power, and what remains when you no longer force will quietly, calmly introduce itself as the only authority you will ever need. Now, why does pushing exhaust you? Because willpower starts from a lie about yourself. Willpower is the human mind trying to force an outcome inside time, in the arena of space, by manipulating circumstance. It is the mind bargaining with hours and angles and bodies and moods, as if these were foreign powers that must be subdued, as if life were outside and you must rope it in. The hidden premise in every bit of this is very simple. I am not enough. I must add power to myself. I am not power. I must import power. I am an effect of causes out there, and if I strain hard enough, perhaps I can become a cause. That is the confession built into willpower. Do you see the reversal? The moment you strive, you have admitted subordination. You have said, in the secrecy of your own thought, I am under time. I am under money. I am under other people's decisions. I am under my body and its chemistry. I am under my past and afraid of my future. Then you grit your teeth to fight what you have enthroned. You, the effect, try to produce a cause. An echo tries to sing the note. The wave tries to make the ocean. And this inevitably fails. If not today, then tomorrow. If not in the outer event, then in the inner cost. Now, I am not criticizing your sincerity. I am diagnosing the premise. Who is the one striving? What is it that believes it lacks? Where did it get the authority to manufacture life, to whip up wisdom, to bolt strength onto itself as if from a hardware store? If you answer, my mind, I must ask, who observes that mind thinking? If you answer, my body, I must ask, who is it that knows the body as sensation and form? If you say, my history, where were you when the first memory arose? The one doing the pushing is a thought about yourself, an adopted costume, an effect identity anxiously trying to become cause, and that mask cannot give you life. Willpower looks like strength because it sweats and it trembles and it lifts a momentary obstacle. But notice its fruit. It leaves a residue of fear because the premise remains, I am under. It leaves a residue of pride because the same premise whispers, I, as a separate someone, have done this. And pride and fear are twins. They must travel together, and they must tire you. You win an inch and worry about the mile. You hold $1 and fear its loss. You fix a relationship and dread its change. This is not power. This is bondage with bright paint. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility. The intellect belongs to the same field of effects it is trying to evaluate. It will argue on both sides and conclude nothing. I am not asking you to agree with me in words. I am asking you to notice the inner confession that precedes your exertion. Notice the flinch. Notice the small panic under the plan. Do not call that strength. Call it what it is. Misidentification. I mean exactly that. When you begin from I am an effect, you must push, because effects do not move themselves. When you begin from I am cause, you do not push, because life is already in motion as your very being. We are not there yet in experience. We are clearing the ground. See this much. Willpower fails not from lack of technique, but from lack of truth about identity. Correct the identification, and the necessity for forcing dissolves. Keep the misidentification, and no amount of forcing will free you. That is the diagnosis. Thank you. Now, if there is a sentence to be written on your mirror and carried in your purse for a year, it is this. The secret of life lies in right identification. Not in better effort, not in smarter plans, in right identification. Who am I? What am I? Everything else will rise or fall on the answer to that. The world has hypnotized you to believe that tension is virtue and pressure is progress. It has told you that the clench in the jaw is commitment, that the knot in the stomach is proof of seriousness, that the late-night grind is the altar upon which greatness is purchased. and you have believed it. You have mistaken strain for strength. Strain is not strength. Strain is fear in formal clothes. Strain is the body confessing, I am under. Strain is the mind whispering, I must control, or I will be controlled. Watch it honestly. The shoulders lift, the breath shortens, the thought races. What is that? It is the personal self defending a boundary it imagines can be breached. It is the effect trying to become cause by sheer contraction. And contraction cannot create life. Contraction cannot create supply. Contraction cannot create wisdom. It can only guard a little pile and call that safety. I mean exactly that. Now comes the pivot. The power you seek is not outside you. The power you seek is not a mood to be whipped up or a force to be imported. The power is the I am within you. The very awareness that is present before a single thought of pushing arises. If you pursue strength as something apart from your own being, you confess lack, and lack is the parent of strain. If you stand as I am, the cause, the life, the law unfolding as your own consciousness, you cannot strain. You cannot. Life flows as you. It does not have to be forced toward you. Do you see that the program to become a better striver is only another mask on the same error? To learn better hacks, sterner schedules, more heroic exertions, is to polish the chain and call it jewelry. Our aim is not to refine the striver. Our aim is to let the striver die. That concept must die. The concept that you are a private, separate, needy self who must press against a resistant universe to obtain what is already your own nature. Be therefore transformed, not by adding effort, but by exchanging identity. That which I am seeking, I am. Not someday, not after 10 more victories. I am. And so, when next you feel the rise of tension, and you are tempted to name it dedication, pause and tell the truth. This is not strength. This is misidentification. This is me forgetting myself, mistaking the mask for the face. Right there, without drama, relinquish the little self who tries to hold the world together. Let it go. Not into passivity, we will speak of that, but into the standstill where I am is recognized as the only cause. In that recognition, strength is no longer manufactured. It appears. It appears as quiet, as steadiness, as direction. It appears as fruitage where strain once stood guard. Thank you. Now let us correct the fear before it grows another head. Stillness is not giving up. Stillness is not laziness, not resignation, not the abdication of responsibility. Stillness is the moment the false mover is asked to step aside so the true activity can become visible. Do you see that? The human self hurries because it believes life is elsewhere and must be dragged in. The I am does not hurry. The I am is life revealing itself. When I say be still, I am not inviting apathy. I am inviting authority. I mean exactly that. Stand still and see. That was not poetry. That was instruction in law. Stand still, stop impersonating cause, and see. Witness cause operating as order, as unfoldment, as the quiet rightness that needs no argument. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility, because the intellect prides itself on motion. It wants to move a thought against a thought, a plan against a fear, and then call the friction power. But motion is not necessarily activity. Activity, spiritual activity, is consciousness functioning as harmony. Motion can be anxiety in action. Activity is order revealing itself. Now human motion shouts, "Do something or else." Spiritual activity whispers, "Look, I am already doing." Human motion is the child tugging at the branch, demanding fruit. Spiritual activity is the life in the root pressing up, unforced, until blossom becomes fruitage. The sun does not strive to shine. It would be an absurdity to picture the sun working up a glow. Shining is its nature, and the planets are ordered by what it is, not by what it strains to do. In the same way, power appears from stillness, because stillness is the recognition of nature, your nature as I am, cause, the law of life being itself. In other words, when you are still, you are not waiting for something outside to visit. You are ceasing the masquerade of a little self trying to bolt power onto itself. You are acknowledging, I and the Father are one. And in that identity, motion returns to its right place, as expression, not as compensation. Then, when the feet move, they are moved. When the words are spoken, they are given. When the hand lifts the tool, it is used by principle, not driven by panic. The outer may look the same to an observer: a meeting attended, a call returned, a task completed. But the animating law is different. One is strain painted as responsibility. The other is responsibility as the natural outflow of realized identity. We are preparing now for practice. In a few minutes, I will ask you to close your eyes, not to escape the world, but to see the world correctly placed inside the field of your consciousness. Stillness begins the instant you stop searching for power as an addition and start recognizing power as your being. It is not passivity, it is consent to truth. Consent to the fact that life flows, and you are that flow individualized. Stand still and see. From that standstill, the invisible acts, and what appears, direction, strength, a quiet authority, is not produced by you. It is revealed as you. Thank you. Now, let me give you a picture you can carry in your pocket when the mind starts to race. An orange in your hand looks like supply, tastes like supply, sells like supply. But the orange is not supply. The oranges do not constitute supply. The life in the tree constitutes supply. The intelligence in the root, drawing from soil and rain and sun, constitutes supply. The living law that moves sap in season, that fashions blossom and then swells it into fruitage, that is supply. If the tree is alive and the law is honored, fruit comes of itself. If the tree is cut off from life, you may pile 1,000 oranges at its feet, and it will still be barren. I mean exactly that. Now translate this to your day. A paycheck is an orange. A promotion is an orange. A solved problem, a finished project, a compliment from the boss. These are oranges. They are fruitage. They are not supply. If you set your heart on the oranges and forget the tree, you must live in anxiety, because you will count and hoard and fear the day the basket looks thin. If you honor the source, if you know yourself as consciousness, as I am, as the life that bears fruit, then the results appear as and when the law moves, and there is no fear of loss. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility. It will argue, but the bills are due. Yes, and the wise farmer pays attention to the root so that next season there is fruit to spare. The foolish farmer glues oranges to a dead branch and calls it harvest. You can glue results onto a tired life. You can force a week, a month, a year. But you cannot force life to be life. Forcing fruit onto branches does not create harvest. It damages the tree. Look honestly at our modern program. We polish the fruit. We paint it with branding. We stack it into photogenic pyramids. We put spotlights on the display and then wonder, this looks beautiful. Why does it rot so quickly? It rots because the life was neglected while the image was perfected. The roots were thirsty while the storefront sparkled. This is willpower. It strains the branch. It overweights the limb with borrowed fruit, and then, when the limb snaps, we call it burnout and blame the weather. No, the damage was built into the method. The effect tried to impersonate the cause. Stillness, then, is the gardener's wisdom. Stillness tends the root. Stillness is not idleness. It is watering, not waving. It is quiet consent to the law of life moving as your own being. When you stand still within and acknowledge, I and the Father are one. I am the life of this tree. Action takes its rightful place as pruning, as weeding, as the simple, timely gestures that protect the life already at work. You do not yank at blossoms to make them hurry. You do not lecture the sap. You do not schedule the sun. You honor the source, and the results become natural fruitage. Write that where you will see it. The oranges do not constitute supply. I am the life that bears fruit. Carry it in the purse for a year. Let it become flesh. Then watch how the baskets fill, not by pressure, but by principle revealing itself as your daily sufficiency. Thank you. Now, since you can see an orange and not be fooled by it, let us speak of a thing you also can see, but are daily fooled by. Dollar bills do not constitute your wealth. You constitute your wealth. I mean exactly that. Those bills, ink on paper, numbers on a screen, digits marching in neat columns, are fruitage. They are not the tree. They are the outer count of an inner activity. They are the receipt, not the storehouse. If the activity of life is present, the receipts show up. If the activity of life is absent, you can stack bills to the ceiling and still be impoverished in the only way that matters: fearful, defensive, brittle. Do you see? Willpower, being misidentified, always chases symbols. It goes after the picture of wealth instead of the life that is wealth. It hunts applause and calls it security. It counts followers and calls it influence. It polishes metrics and calls it mastery. It piles certificates, titles, headlines, and trophies, and then wakes in the night with the same knot in the gut. Because the premise remains, I am under. Chasing effects is the proof you have forgotten yourself as cause. The mind that starts with, I lack, must pursue objects that promise to silence the confession. But they cannot. They can only distract it for a season. Now, what is wealth? It is not a sum. It is a state. Wealth is the activity of consciousness as sufficiency, as order, as right place and right unfoldment. It appears as ideas, as opportunities, as the gift you are to your work, as the law that moves clients toward you, as the right word at the right hour, as the wisdom to say yes and the same wisdom to say no. When that is present, when I am is realized as your very being, dollar bills take their rightful place as labels on baskets already full. When that is absent, dollars become anxiety in disguise. Seek first the kingdom. Take the word consciousness there instead of kingdom. Seek first the consciousness that produces, and all these things are added as effect. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility, because the intellect worships the measurable and despises the invisible. But watch life and you will know. A printing press cannot print wealth into a dead town. A suitcase of cash on a desert island cannot buy bread where there is no baker. Wealth is the baker, the oven, the wheat, the law of harvest outflowing as loaves. Money marks the exchange. It is not the cause of the bread. Bring it inward now. If your identity is, I lack, you will chase, negotiate, scheme, and, having grasped, you will guard with a trembling hand. If your identity is, I am, you will express. Expression is wealth. It goes out and, by the law of itself, returns. The bill, the metric, the follower count, the approval letter, these become oranges on a living tree, welcome and perishable, useful and not ultimate. And here is where we are headed. Stillness is not a trick to get more symbols. Stillness is the holy refusal to treat effects as cause. In stillness, you return everything to its place. Life as cause, fruit as fruitage. And from that standstill, supply appears as what you are, and money as what comes and goes without ruling you. Thank you. Now, where do you go when you cannot push anymore? Where do you turn when the levers outside have snapped and the mind, with all its sturdy arguments, sits down and says, I have nothing left? This is the decisive question of a life. If I want the answer, where do I get it? Outside or within consciousness? If I want strength, direction, authority, do I gather it from events and people and schedules, or do I discover it as my own being? You must answer truly, or you will loop the same weary circle again. Outside is effect. Within is cause. Stillness begins the moment you stop seeking power outside your own being. Now, I cannot make this more direct without offending the pride of the intellect, and perhaps it must be offended. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility. The intellect will organize 1,000,000 facts and give you no life. The inward turn is not an argument, it is an act of identity. I go within my own being. I go down deep. That is not poetry, that is instruction. I withdraw my belief from persons, from conditions, from numbers and clocks. I let them be what they are, appearances within consciousness, and I rest as that consciousness. I do not reach out to grab a handle on the world. I let the handle go, and in the letting go, I find that I am is the handle, the hinge, the door, and the room itself. I mean exactly that, but beware the clever detour here. The mind, being trained to strive, will try to make a technique out of stillness. It will time it. It will grade it. It will turn it into a breathing count and a posture and a set of rules. And then it will say, I did stillness. Why don't I feel powerful? Do you see the joke? It has taken the doorway and made it a treadmill. Stillness is not your new project. Stillness is not something you perform well. Stillness is the end of performing, the ceasing of impersonation, the quiet consent to what already is. The very instant you stop pushing, even for one honest breath, you will notice that awareness remains, undiminished, unthreatened. That remaining is power. Make some provision for studying this afterward. Do not trust memory. Put it where you will be confronted by it. Write a sentence. Put it up on the mirror. Carry a copy in the purse. Place another on the desk where your hand reaches before the emails do. The sentence is this: power is what remains when I stop pushing. I don't know how you could spend less than a year on that one sentence. Live with it. Whisper it when the jaw tightens. Lay it over the heart when the numbers look thin. Speak it before the meeting and after the meeting, not as magic words, but as the reminder to return to cause, to step back from the edge of panic into the ground of being. So when the old urgency rises and says, "Hurry or else," you will know where to go. Not outward, inward. I go within my own being. I go down deep. There, without noise, the false mover retires, and the real activity reveals itself. And the taste of that is relief first, then quiet confidence, then an inward assurance that does not shout. It simply is. Thank you. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Let the body be easy. Let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders find their own level. Do not fix the breath. Let it be ordinary, unposed. We are not going to perform stillness. We are going to stop performing. That is all. Just this. Sounds may come. Sensations may speak. A thought may begin its speech. Do not go with them. Simply notice that they appear to you. Notice this simple fact. There is an awareness present that knows the breath without counting it, that knows the weight of the body without correcting it, that knows the hum of the room without naming it. That awareness is here before the next thought tries to push, and after the last thought has faded. It is not trying, it is being. I mean exactly that. Do not reach for it. You cannot reach for what you already are. Just notice it noticing. A thought arrives, a picture from today, a plan for tomorrow, an old argument presenting itself for one more round. Let it come as a cloud comes, and let it go as a cloud goes. You are not required to sweep the sky. The sky is not improved by the broom. There is awareness of the cloud. That is you. Another thought may be more insistent. This isn't working. Good. Notice the one who hears that sentence. Still present. Still aware. It is not annoyed or pleased. It simply is. Now, without strain, taste the identity that has no future tense. Not, I will become. Not, I will get there. Quietly, within, let the truth introduce itself as a whisper that originates nowhere and everywhere at once. I am. Not the name of a person. The fact of awareness being aware. I am is here, before the breath is counted, before the muscles are adjusted, before the project resumes. I am is not a mood. It is presence. If the mind protests, but I do not feel powerful, let that too be seen. Power is not the sensation you seek. Power is the seeing itself. The power you seek is the awareness already present before thought begins to push. The seeing does not clench. The seeing does not hurry. It does not tighten to hold itself in place. It has no edges to defend. It is what you are, and the body rests in it the way a wave rests in the ocean. Do not try to deepen this. Do not try to hold it. Attempts to hold are thoughts, and thoughts are already held in you. If a ripple of impatience crosses the surface, notice. Awareness remains unruffled beneath the ripple. If a pleasant calm spreads, notice. Awareness is not flattered by calm. It is the same in storm and in quiet. I and the life that is are not two. I and the Father are one. Let those words be not quotation, but recognition. Now, sit a moment longer. Breathe as it is. Body as it is. World as it is. You as awareness, prior to and embracing it all. No effort required to be. From here, when motion resumes, motion will be expression, not compensation. From here, words will be given, steps will be moved, and what appears will be fruitage, not strain. Rest, just one more ordinary breath, as I am. Thank you. Now, remain as you are. Do not open the eyes. Bring to the edge of awareness a single difficulty, not the whole tangle, just one thread. It may be a bill, a name, a diagnosis, an unfinished task, a conversation waiting. Let it appear as an image, a phrase, a weight. And now, without any push, place it out in front as you would set a book upon a table. Not far away, just not in you. Let it be there. Do not fix it. Do not edit it. Do not argue. Only let it stand where you can see it. Notice what has happened. You are here. It is there. You are not in the problem. The problem is in you, meaning it is appearing in the field of your awareness. The sky is not inside the cloud. The cloud is inside the sky. I mean exactly that. Keep the placement gentle. If it creeps toward you, notice and set it back on the table of consciousness. This is not resistance. This is recognition. You are discovering your rightful size. You are the awareness in which the picture occurs. You are not the picture. Now, breathe as you were breathing, and quietly say within, I do not have to move this. I only have to be still and know. Let the words mean what they say. You do not have to move it with thought. You do not have to move it with mood. You do not have to move it with bargaining. Be still and know. Take the word consciousness there instead of know. Be still and let consciousness be what it is. Cause, law, order. Every time the hand of the mind reaches to grab, you return the hand to your side and you say again, I do not have to move this. I only have to be still and know. Now let the fixer retire. The fixer is a mask. It is the personal savior of your life, and it has grown tired. Let it go off duty. It will protest. If I don't, who will? And you will answer, I and the Father are one. I am is present. The law acts without strain. The concept of the fixer must die. That concept must die so that the living presence which is cause may be seen acting as harmony. You are not abandoning responsibility. You are relinquishing impersonation. Responsibility remains as effortless right action when it is given, not manufactured. Watch the urge to wrestle. It is an old training. When it rises, do not shame it. Place the problem back on the table and rest as the room in which table and object appear. The mountain is not moved by your hands. It dissolves as a misperceived shape in the light of realized identity. Stand still and see. Let seeing, not shoving, be the activity. Now do nothing more. Rest as I am for several ordinary breaths. No reaching, no commentary. Breath as it is. Awareness as it is. Problem out there on the table of consciousness as it is. Stay as the spaciousness that needs no defense. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Thank you. Now, what appears in that stillness? Do not look for fireworks. Look for the obvious you kept missing. Direction without pressure. Strength without aggression. Clarity without excitement. It comes as the unargued knowing of one next right step. Not 10 years. Not the master plan you can rehearse to your friends. One next right step. You find you can put down what is not yours to carry and pick up what is quietly given. A phone call to make. A meeting to release. A sentence that writes itself. A walk you must take. A sandwich even, because the body needs bread before the mind needs another theory. Do not despise the ordinary. Truth does not announce itself with strain. It feels like recognition. Of course. That is its signature. You may notice a new kind of strength. It does not clinch. It does not shout. It does not need to prove itself by lifting what no one asked you to lift. It stands. And because it stands, lesser urgencies fall off without a fight. You will hear yourself say no without guilt, yes without fear. This is authority. Quiet authority. Not manufactured intensity. I mean exactly that. When it speaks, it is not your voice trying to be large. It is life recognizing itself and outlining its own way. Now, beware the mind's old trick. It will try to grab this and bottle it. It will say, keep that calm, hold that clarity, make it last, teach me the knobs. And in that wanting to keep, you will feel the familiar edge of push return. Recognize it early. Do not fight the grabber, simply do not follow it. Authority does not need to be held, it holds. Like light, it is not preserved in jars. It appears when the obstruction is gone. You do not grip the sun to keep the day, you remove the curtain. Stillness is the open window. Leave it open, and the light appears as needed. How will this meet your day? As priorities that arrange themselves without your policing. As conversations that find their tone. As the courage to apologize once, cleanly, and the wisdom not to rehearse it a dozen times in your head. As the cessation of unnecessary errands. As the impulse to rest, truly rest, because the tree bears fruit by law, not by panic. Trying to understand this with the intellect makes it an absolute impossibility, but living it makes it obvious. What is yours to do is infused with ease, and what is not, quietly drops away. Do not demand visions. Do not demand guarantees. The promise here is not spectacle. The promise is fruitage, direction, strength, a quiet authority, appearing of itself when identity is righted. Stand still and see. Let what is given be given. Let what is done be done. And return to stillness the very second you feel the temperature of hurry rise. For hurry is the signal that you have stepped back into effect. Remain as I am, and watch power appear without your pushing, like oranges in season, like water in a cleared channel, like the word that arrives exactly when it is needed, and not a moment before. Thank you. Now, the very next hour, sometimes the very next minute, the old habit presents its face with a fresh coat of paint. After stillness, after that clean taste of ease, the mind whispers, "Good, now hold this. Use it. Leverage it. Turn it into results." Do you hear the subtle insult? It treats stillness as a tool, and you as the user of a tool. Which is to say, it has already made you an effect again, trying to produce a cause. That is the relapse pattern. It is quick, it is familiar, and if you do not catch it early, it will take the wheel and drive you back into the ditch of strain. I mean exactly that. How do you recognize it? Your body will tell you before your philosophy does. A tightness gathers at the center of the chest. The breath rides high, clipped at the top. The clock grows loud, the jaw sets. You start rehearsing conversations in your head, what you will say, what they will say, how you will block their move and advance yours. You open the calendar, not to see, but to dominate. You make 2, 3, 4 contingency plans for the same simple task. The phone seems to buzz even when it does not. The word urgent appears in neon across the smallest email. This is the signal. Urgency is the signature of misidentification. The moment you feel urgency, return to stillness. Now I will give you a sentence. Short, serviceable, to be kept at the ready. When the early signs appear, speak this, inwardly or aloud. I return to cause. I release effects. Say it once, and then do not argue with it. Let the hands come off the keys. Let the shoulder drop an inch. Close the eyes for one ordinary breath if you can. Not 3 minutes, not 30. One honest breath. I return to cause. I release effects. This is not a charm. It is a replacement of identity. It says, I am not the little self arranging fruit. I am the life of the tree. Fruitage will come by law. Stillness is not a one-time event you check off and then spend the day mining for benefits. Stillness is a lived posture, moment by moment. You will return to it 50 times a day at first. Good. That is not failure. That is worship. Every time urgency nips at your heel, every time the compulsion to push starts to rise, you are being invited to remember. Whenever you feel you must force, you have slipped back into being an effect. Effects do not move cause. Cause reveals itself as ordered effect when you consent to be what you are. So practice catching it early. The first flutter in the chest, return. The first mental rehearsal, return. The first sentence that begins, if I don't do this right now, everything will, return before you finish the prophecy. I return to cause. I release effects. Stand still and see. Then act if action is given. And if it is not given, let restraint be your action. In this way, urgency loses its throne, and quiet authority resumes its seat. Live here. Return here. Remain here, not as a statue, but as a spring. Thank you. Now, a practical rule. Enjoy all good, but do not cling. I mean exactly that. Clinging is willpower in softer clothes. It is the same misidentification trying a gentler tone. It sees a good form, a project going well, a body feeling easy, a relationship sweet, a bank balance generous, and it reaches to freeze the scene, to hold the fruit on the branch as if law itself could be bribed by your grip. That reaching is the beginning of decay, not because law is cruel, but because your hand blocks the sap. Non-clinging keeps you aligned with source, where power continues to appear as fruitage in due season. You see, When you cling, you confess, "This form is my safety. This outcome is my life." There it is again. Effect worshipped as cause. And with it, the old urgency. You begin to defend, to plan contingencies, to pre-grieve imaginary losses, to tighten against change. But life is movement. The tree is alive because the law flows. To try to fix fruitage in place is to mistake museum curation for gardening. The gardener tends the root and welcomes the seasons. The curator fears fingerprints on the glass. Be the gardener. Let law move. As consciousness changes, outer forms change. This is not threat. This is promise. Transformation does not ask you to love less. It asks you to love truly. The word love here means recognition of source as all. When recognition ripens, improved concepts appear of themselves. A clearer work, a healthier body concept, a kinder companionship, a wiser use of money. And sometimes, to make room for the improved, the old must release. What leaves may be only an old concept dissolving. Do not mourn the shell. Do not carve the husk and call it sacred. The life that gave it shape remains present, active, faithful. I am is unaltered as the forms of its appearing exchange. Practice this in the simplest ways. When a good comes, receive it fully. Enjoy it, use it, and in the same breath, release it inwardly. Say, if you like, "This is fruitage, not cause. I bless it to come. I bless it to go. I remain as I am." Let that be on the mirror. Carry it in the purse. When fear of loss pricks the heart, return to stillness at once. Hands open, breath ordinary. I do not hold. I am held. In that release, alignment is restored, and what is lawfully yours remains, and what has finished its lesson departs without ripping you as it goes. Do not confuse non-clinging with neglect. This is not laziness. This is right stewardship. You will prune when pruning is given. You will repair what is yours to repair. You will keep the appointment, balance the account, tend the child, answer the letter. But you will not clutch. You will not try to nail the sun to its noon. You will not make idols of outcomes and then kneel to guard them. You will live from stillness, not visit it to manipulate results. Stillness is home, not a tool. From home, you move easily. You speak naturally. And the power that is your identity continues to appear as fruitage, coming, going, returning in new forms, each time revealing that your safety was never in the form at all, but in the I am that is cause. Thank you. Now, your assignment. Make some, provision for studying this afterward. Do not trust the heat of tonight to carry you through the chill of Tuesday morning. Write one sentence out, by hand. Put it on the mirror. Slip a copy in the purse or wallet. Tape one to the inside cover of the notebook you actually use. Lay one at your desk where your hand reaches before the emails do. Change the lock screen if you must, but see it. Read it. Carry it. The sentence is this: power is what remains when I stop pushing, because I am the source, not the effect. I do not know how you could spend less than a year on that one sentence. It is not a slogan. It is not a charm. It is a key to identity. Now, here is the method. You do not chant it to hypnotize yourself. You contemplate it until it changes your reflexes. You let it soak the places that still spring toward urgency. Each time trouble waves its hand, you do not argue with the world. You return to the sentence and let it return you to yourself. Power is what remains when I stop pushing, because I am the source, not the effect. Say it softly, then be still. Let the words become less important than the fact to which they point. The fruit is not in saying it well. The fruit is in consenting to stop pushing and discovering that something remains, and that the something is you, as I am. Establish a nightly standstill. 2 minutes before sleep, 2 minutes on waking. Close your eyes. Let the body be unremarkable. Do not perform breathing. Breathe. Within, without reaching, rest as I am. I go within my own being. I go down deep. Be still and know. Take the word consciousness there instead of know. Do not try to get results. Results are effects. You are cause. In the evening, let the day return to its source. In the morning, let the day rise from its source. 2 minutes. Ordinary minutes. If you forget, do not scold. Return. If you remember, do not preen. Return. If, during the day, urgency pricks you, lay the sentence over the heart once more and take one honest breath. Power is what remains when I stop pushing, because I am the source, not the effect. Then stand still and see. Action given will appear. Action ungiven will fall away. Little by little, the sentence will become less a sentence and more your state. This is how the word becomes flesh. I leave you now with the inward work, not a performance goal. No scoreboard, no contest. Only a life lived from cause. Contemplate one truth until it becomes your consciousness, and the power will appear as your life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.